Do you struggle when it comes time to scrapbooking original photos? And by original photos, I mean non-digital photos. In this video today, I'm going to share my best tips on how to crop original photos and then match them to your favorite colored cardstock. This is a video collaboration with the creative design team where we are sharing our ideas on how to use cardstock on any layout. Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Julie. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about a few things, primarily how to scrapbook original photos that are not digital, how to match your photos to cardstock, and how to embellish a page to make it all come together. So these photos here have been in a photo box for 18 years. This is my little Jasmine when she turned 1. She's now 19. So you know what? There is always time to catch up on scrapbooking. And you can see here that I have a lot of photos, but not all of the photos are featured photos that you would want to put on a page. Some of them are quite dark, and I could scan them and try and brighten them up, but you know what? I did that and I lost a lot of details. So I thought, you know what? We're going to stick with the original photos. Even though these are not digital, we can still do a physical crop and achieve the same look as we would when we are working on digital photos. My first struggle was there's a lot of colors in these photos, and I wanted to ground the photos. So obviously I'm going to take my favorite photo, which is this one right here, and that's going to be my featured photo. And then I was looking at the colors. Now there's multiple colors. Here I have a photo of beautiful flowers. They're nice and bright. And if you see the colors that I've chosen here, they're not as bright. And the reason for that is because my photos are a little bit darker. Now, if I chose really bright colors, it would make these photos look even darker. So I thought that I would go a little darker. I actually used this photo right here. You can see that I'm pulling the turquoise color from her shirt here, and then from the little tiara, I pulled out these two shades of pink. I'm going to start off with white cardstock for my base. So let's go through the process of putting these photos onto a layout. All right, I've got my trusty mats here. Those are great for helping me line everything up. It's a grid mat. And I have my photos here. So from my pile of photo, we typically want to scrapbook every single photo. And of course, when you look at them, they're super cute, so I can understand why. I'm going to use this photo right here as my featured photo. And then I'm going to look at the other ones here. I'm going to add this one here because there's definitely a story behind that. We have baby Jasmine here with her balloon, and we have her little grumpy face here. And I'm going to explain that in a second. So this is how I want to scrapbook these photos. Now, if this was digital, I would definitely blow it up, but I think that the subject matter is close enough, so this is going to work. I'm probably going to trim these down and add flip-flaps to these. Now, let me show you where I got the idea to place my photos this way. I am using a sketch that was created from the creative design team, and I'm going to make this work with the photos as they are. I'm not going to digitally crop them. We're going to crop them together manually if you want. Now here you can see in the sketch that there's two photos, but I think that the one photo is going to work right here. And then these ones here, when I looked at them, I knew that I could crop them down to 4 by 4. And this is what's called for in the sketch. Now, have you ever tried to crop your photos and then you just cut it and you instantly regret it and you don't have any more photos? Yep, that's me. I've done that a few times. So here's a little hack for you. This is just a piece of vellum. It is 4 by 4. I've cut it down and I've put in here lines. I just used a regular stylus. I divided this into 3s so that we can apply the rule of 3s when it comes to photo cropping. Now, if you're not familiar with that, there's tons of videos online, but Instantly, when I looked at this picture, I wanted to center my photo. Now, I'm not sure if you can see that. I wanted to kind of just cut this straight at 4" and have her little face straight in the center. If you apply the rules of 3, I should kind of scooch that over and have her like on this quadrant of the photo. I don't know if you can see that. I really hope that you can. But if you create yourself this little tool, you'll see how easy it is. You can definitely move it along your photo and create a little cropping aid if you want. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put her little face in this quadrant. I'm going to cut my photo here and here. Now, the little face here that's a little bit mad is because this is baby number 2, right? So you learn from your mistakes. I had just a regular cake, and then I had a little one, a number 1 cake, and she was able to just chow down and eat the cake and have a go at it. But of course, as a scrapbooker, I made her stop and asked for a photo. And this is the one I got, and I think it's pretty priceless. So the same thing goes for here. You see how I was originally going to put that right in the center, and you don't get a lot of interest when you completely center your subject matter. So I'm going to push this over, and you get a little bit more of the balloon, and it just makes the photo a little bit more pleasing to the eye. The same with this. If I center this right in the center, like if I center the 2 cakes, why not move this over? Now, I have to decide if I want to move this on this side, because this would be here, but I don't really want to see this chair that I have in my photo, so I think I'm going to put the number 1 right at the bottom quadrant of my 4x4, and that's going to be a really nicely cropped photo. So I hope that this helps you out when you are working with original photos. This is super easy and very inexpensive to create. Now let's go back to the sketch right here. So for this sketch, you can see that there's nice big circles. And I have used this die before, but I think it's going to translate really, really nicely. I'll have one here, I'll separate a half and a half, and then I'll use the center to finish off on this side. Now, naturally, you would think that I would use the teal to do all of my doilies, but I think that I'm going to use the teal to ground my photos. And you can see that the photos look quite nice on this teal color that we have here. I'm probably going to double matte this featured photo right here. So because I'm using a white base, I pulled out this kind of lilac color, and it really picks up on the little tiara. This is the color that I want to use to do all of my pretty doilies. So we're going to add them here and everywhere as per the sketch that we have right here. And then we have little butterflies, but I think I'm going to introduce really cute little hearts. These are stitched hearts, and I wanted to bring a pop of color. Now, if you don't know this, the Close to My Heart is double-sided. You have a dark side and a light side, so I'll be able to play up on that. Let me clear off all of this. I'm going to cut my pieces. I'm going to cut my doilies, and we'll keep on working with this layout. I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut these. I'm just going to use my Friscar trimmer, and we'll do it together, even though this is the only photo that I have. So that's why creating this little vellum piece right here was really paramount for me, just to make sure that I am not cropping it and then instantly regretting it. Let's clear off the desk. I'll do my die cutting and my dry fitting, and we'll cut these photos together. Let's look at the progress so far. I've gone ahead and I've cut my pieces based on this sketch right here. I've gone ahead and I've cut all of these fancy doilies, and I can tell you that this has been a workhorse in my scrapbooking room. I love that I can custom color it to whatever photos or scrapbook layouts I have. So I've kind of put them down. This one obviously is going to be cut, and I'll have the other half up here. And then I use the smaller one here. I did bring in that pop of pink. I thought that that was really cute, and it really did go with these photos. I kind of used this photo here, the teal and the pinks, to choose my colors of cardstock. And I think that it's going to work out just fine. So let's put this to the side and let's cut our photos down to match, again, this sketch that I'm working with. So I'm just going to use my little Friscar. Now, if you have one of these, you really have to hold everything down because it tends to shift sometimes. So again, we're going to try and apply the rule of threes. And I'm going to push this all the way here. So that means that I have to cut an inch off my photo here. And fun fact, when I used to print these photos, they were not a true 4x6. There's like 1/8 of an inch that's missing here. And that always used to mess me up when I was scrapbooking original photos. So now that I'm cropping them down, I have to take that in consideration. So I know that I need to cut 1 inch from this side. Now the Friscar doesn't allow for more than 4 inch. So I'm going to sneak it in this way at the 1 inch mark. I'm going to make sure that it's nice and straight on the grid. I'm going to press really, really hard and we're going to cut it. There we go. It's gone. And you know what? When you do crop these photos, I'm not cropping anything important right here. So the next cut, I don't need to measure. I know that it needs to go to 4 inch. So I'm going to pop this right here at the 4 inch line. And I'm going to cut this. Now you can see here that to the best of my ability, this is not a digital photo, I was able to kind of bring down into the rules of threes. I was able to bring down the subject matter of the photo right here at the bottom. And I think that that's going to work out nicely. So let's repeat that for these ones here. So this one, again, my original thought was to center the subject matter, but I think I'm going to move her over so that she's kind of like in this quadrant of the grid, if you want. So if I look here, I have 1 inch again to cut from this side. So we're going to go in again. I just want to make sure that it's nice and straight, and I want to push really hard so that it doesn't shift on me. And then I'm going to go 4 inches. Do you see how, like, people probably are going to say, well, that's not centered. But once you put them on your page, it does create interest. So trust the process, and we're going to go through this together. So here, same thing. I am going to kind of move that over. So this is quite a bit. So this is what, 1/4 of an inch? I want to make sure that I don't cut off her foot. Definitely don't want to do that. So this is 1.5. So I'm going to cut off 1.5 on this side. I'm going to make sure it's nice and straight down. And it actually works out because if you're noticing, I am not cutting anything important out of the photo. And then I'm going to put this back in here. And I'm going to trim that to a 4x4. Let's bring back the mat and we'll do a dry fit. And you'll see that by strategically trimming down or cropping down your photos, it does create a nicer balance on a double page layout. So let's move this out of the way. Let's bring these cut pieces back and look at my sketch. And you know what? I just noticed that I'm missing a piece right here. I was wondering why this was so white. So I'm going to have to change this mat, although I really liked it, but I'm going to change out this mat, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the light shade. Let's see here. We're going to do a quick test. The light shade or this one here. I'm not sure. We'll let that develop, but I am missing a piece here. I just noticed that. So we're going to address that in a moment. I want to show you how those photos we cropped look now that we're going to add them to my layout. So do you see this one here is going to go right here. Now, do you see how that makes sense with the sketch and it makes sense on the layout? And then here we've got this photo right here, which is great. And then we have this one right here. Now, I think that that looks really good, and that was just using a little bit of a cheat sheet, if you want, with vellum. But you can tell now that those photos on the layout, if they would have been all straight on, it would have taken away from the flow of this page. Now, one thing that I'm going to do is I am going to trim this down by 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to add a little white mat. The white mat is really going to make my photos stand out a little bit more because they are on the darker side. So I'm going to change out the mat for this one here because I've noticed that I'm missing a piece. So I'm going to go prepare all of my photos and then we'll work on the assembly. Let's take a look at how this has progressed. Now that I'm looking at the sketch and my photos, what I have as far as photos. And I was going to double mat this one, but I think that it looks good. I wanted to keep that nice pop of teal in back of that photo. And then I've cut out my doilies. You can see them right here. And I'm adding a few more of those clusters with the hearts. Now I'm probably going to add a couple of gems here. Maybe a little bit of ink blending. But this is how this sketch is kind of translating with the photos that I have. I know that sometimes we really want to replicate exactly what we see, but this is just a jumping point. And hopefully you can see how this is moving along, and I think that it's going to look really good. I wanted to share with you some pretty exciting news just in case you've missed it. The Creative Design Team membership is now open for registration. All of the information is listed for you down below. Looking at my layout right now, and before I start to adhere everything down, I kind of feel like the background is a little bit too white. So I think I'm going to do, remember at the beginning I said I was either going to do some ink blending here or I was going to do something, and I thought, you know what, this would be a really good opportunity to bring in one of these really large stencils. My idea is to do an ombre background. So I'm going to start with lilac at the top because this is the color of the doilies. And I think I'm going to bring this down, halfway down the page. And then I'm going to introduce a little bit of mink ink, only because I want it to be a gradual fade. And then right at the bottom, I'm going to introduce some lagoon, which is this cardstock right here, but probably just at the bottom to ground that page. Let's move this out of the way and we'll do some stenciling before we adhere everything down. And sometimes I adhere things down and then I think about, oh, what if I had done this? So I'm pretty glad that I thought about it beforehand. What I like about these stencils, they're full size, and it's going to play really nicely on this page. So let me scoot this in the center, and I'm just going to tack it down, and I'm going to work from I usually bring in my all-purpose mat, but I think that I can work directly off of this mat. I'm going to start with the lilac color here at the top, and another reason why I wanted to keep my mat is because there's numbers here, and I know that I want to bring this down to about the 6-inch mark. We're going to speed through this process together, but I'll talk you through some of the key points. I'm starting with lilac right here at the top. I really like the way that's shaping up. I'm going to darken that up, and then I'm going to transition to the mint color. I wanted a soft transition between those two colors, and that seems to work really nicely. So I'm going again back and forth in those colors. And the last color here at the bottom is Lagoon, which matches the cardstock, and it also helps to ground this entire pattern. I really like the way that this is turning out. So let's take a peek at all three colors. Isn't that pretty? Now this is a custom background that matches my cardstock, and it really, really helps to ground my photos. Let's take a look at our ombre background that we just created. I've added these pieces here so you can appreciate how it's all gonna look, and we're gonna add these ones here, but it's starting off with the lilac color and then it's going down into the lagoon. I really like the way that it just brings all of those colors together on this page. So let's take a look at this one here, see how that's going to translate. And I think it's gonna look really, really good. We're gonna add our photos. Again, this is gonna be on a flip flap on my page protector. And I've got my little lilac piece here and a couple of hearts. And those are gonna move around quite a bit when I start to adhere things down. So I know that I wanna have a little one here like that. And then we have the other lilac piece right here. I'm gonna do my journaling, of course, and let's take a look at our pieces now. And I think this is exactly what this layout needed, something to ground it and bring all of the colors together. So I'm going to adhere the pieces down. I still have to do my title and my journaling, and then we'll come back and we'll do a project recap. I've gone ahead and I've adhered all of these pieces. I've used just a little bit of 3D foam tape on the hearts. Let's take a look at the sketch for just a moment. Now here we have 2 photos and I don't have 2 photos. So I'm just gonna line this up at the 6-inch mark. I'm gonna go down 3 inches and this is 9. And I think that that's gonna look good in the center like that. We're gonna add the doily up here. And then if I follow my sketch again, I've got a doily here that I can sneak underneath. And I really like that. I'm just using the thin 3D foam on the back of the larger hearts. Just gonna put a couple of pieces here. And then this one, I'll use regular foam and I'll just add it to the side just to give it a little bit of dimension. So I think I'm gonna add this one here. I want to be mindful though, I do want to add my title, and I did cut the word happy birthday from a die, and I think that I really like that, but I'm going to give it a little bit of dimension. I'm going to cut a few white pieces just so that it's lifted off the page, but I think that it carries through with the color. So with this in mind, let me see here, I have happy. Haven't really landed on that yet, but I think I will. Pretty sure I will. So just let's do a dry fit. And something like that. Maybe this heart needs to go here. Kind of like it off the doily. Just giving myself some options before I glue everything down. I do like that, so I'm going to put regular foam underneath the smaller heart. Here my stencil didn't go all the way to the end. I don't think that it's that noticeable, but by adding these banners right up here and staying with that nice color at the top, I think that it finishes that off. So we're going to add these at the top. I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring in a few little gems. I'm going to turn that. I really like the way that that's turning out. So I just have to finish my title, do my journaling. This is going to be my flip flap that's going to go on top. I think we're pretty much done here with this layout. I still have to change up my title right here, and I'm going to add a couple of layers to make it pop off that doily. I'm going to do my journaling, and we'll come back for a project recap. Let's take a look at the completed layout now that it's all done. I love that this was all done using cardstock. We selected our colors with our photos. These are all original photos. And the fun thing about using cardstock, you can totally match your title, your embellishment, everything can be done with cardstock. I did bring in some coordinating ink to do this really pretty background, but for the most part, this is all cardstock. So hopefully you'll take a look at your cardstock in a different way. Don't forget, this is a video collaboration with the creative design team where we are sharing our projects all week long. That's it for me today. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. If you'd like to see the layout I did last year using cardstock, click the video on the left. If you want to catch up on the CDT projects, click the playlist on the right.